Howdy and welcome to the Mighty Muddy Chuck channel. I'm Chuck. So this video is a follow-up to my video that I did, Theory on the Mandela Effect. Are we prisoners of a computer-like loop? This is a follow-up to that video. In addition to my theory on the Mandela Effect, there are a good many other theories. You know, people wonder what's causing this. You know, so people have ideas. They come up with ideas. Whether you believe them or not, whether you believe what I was saying earlier or not, you know, it's interesting, I think. You know, what people think, that's interesting. I like that. Some people think that the Mandela Effect is directly linked to CERN, which is the largest particle physics laboratory in the world. They believe that some things have happened at CERN that somehow caused the Mandela Effect. One of the CERN theories is very similar to the theory that I presented, in that the people believe that CERN actually destroyed Earth in the parallel universe that we came from, and after Earth was destroyed, then we were shifted to another parallel universe, and here we are. That's one theory, and it kind of follows with differences, kind of the theory that I had presented. They think more in terms of parallel universes than a computer-like world. But, you know, basically when CERN destroyed the Sagittarius Earth, it caused us to shift into Orion Earth, or created Orion Earth. But like I said, they think more in terms of parallel universes, or the multiverse theory, than the world being, you know, more like a computer type system. One of these CERN theories is not that CERN destroyed Earth and that we were all moved into a different parallel universe. Rather, the theory is that CERN has opened up portals in which people may accidentally enter parallel realities, parallel universes. And part of the theory is perhaps at some point those portals will be closed, and then the people will then be stuck in the parallel reality that they've wandered into. In other words, you may be in this reality now is because your vibration is a certain level, or somehow through your vibrations you've entered through a portal that was created by CERN. But say your vibration changes. In this theory, it's actually possible that at some point you may ricochet back to the reality in which Mandela died in prison, and other things were more consistent with what you remember. And part of this theory is that maybe your vibration won't change. You may go even further in the direction of other realities, and other things will continue changing, but you won't go back to where Mandela died in prison. That's a theory. There's a theory that goes along with the portal theory that demonic sources, demonic forces have infiltrated CERN, and that CERN is being used to open those portals and to make alterations, and there's demonic forces that are changing things. And people that tend to believe this, they go back to more religious doctrine, you know, about the end times and that kind of stuff. But they believe that demonic forces are actually at work, and that there's demonic forces that are that's changing words in the Bible and doing other things, and they put it within a religious context. That's a theory. Now, this is a personal anecdote. Where we live at now, very strange things happen, and where I lived at before, strange things happen. My family's always been prone to kind of supernatural stuff anyway, so let me put that out there, make that clear. So anyway, after we moved out here into the country where we live now, something very odd happened to my father and myself. And it hasn't happened recently. It happened shortly after we moved out here into the country. we were getting ready, my father and me were getting ready to go to town. And so I was back in the other part of the house. And I went back to go out, and the door to his bathroom was open. And, we're not really that private. I mean, we're two dudes. So, his door was open to the bathroom. And as I was walking around to go out the door, I could see that he was in the bathroom and he was urinating. I saw him in the bathroom. There's no doubt that I saw him in the bathroom. There's no doubt about it. And I call to him and I tell him, he's in the bathroom. I say, I'm going on out. I'll wait for you outside. So I go on outside. And he's standing outside. He's already outside. Now, I know I saw him in the bathroom. It was not some mind trick on me. I saw him in the bathroom. But when I went outside, he was already outside. He was already outside. He was both in the bathroom and he was outside. Okay, and during the same time period, the same period of time, he went out, and I was still in the house, and he saw me up at a gate to a back area. He saw me there, and he called out to me, and I was standing there, and I said something back to him. There again, it was not a mind trick. It was not some illusion. He saw me standing at that gate. He talked to me at that gate. But the thing is, I was still in the house. And I walked out of the house, and joined him. And he was like, what? But, that happened. I can't prove it happened. You may think I'm full of crap. But that happened. And so I went online during this period. And I went back in those days, people went on Usenet. There wasn't Facebook or there were bulletin board systems and all, but I was using Usenet, and I put out, the question is, has anybody else had this happen where they talked to somebody, and it turned out that then the person comes up from somewhere else? In other words, the person's in two places at once. Has this happened to anybody else? And there were some people who said, yeah, it's happened to them too. During this period of time, there were people who replied to me that something very similar, that they had looked out and saw their children outside playing, and then they went to another room and the children were inside. Their children were outside playing and inside. I got a few of those responses. Now, of course, they can't prove it. I can't prove what I'm saying is true, but it happened, and it's possible the people that replied to me were just totally, just playing along. How people do, thinking I wasn't serious or something. But I think that they were serious in their answers. The tone of their answers was like they were serious. They weren't, playing a game with me like sometimes people do in the comment sections where they, how people do. But that's just something to think about. Now, this was before I'd ever read anything on the Mandela Effect. This goes back, I hate to point out how freaking old I am. But this goes back to probably about 2000, 2001, somewhere in that time frame. That's about when it happened. Anyways, now another theory is very similar to kind of what I was getting at. And that, the theory goes that we do live in a computer-type world. And the theory goes that at the core of reality is computer code. And what that means is let's put it back into religious terms. God gave us, all of us, free will. Okay, that means the computer is interactive. That means as you do things in this computer system, you generate code. Your thoughts generates code. Your actions generate codes. Your words generates code. How you make people feel generates code. Your senses, what you're feeling, the five senses, it generates code. So your reality in that computer program generates code. Everybody generates code in this interactive computer. That's a theory. And it goes back to religious terms that God gave us free will. In other words, everything is not predetermined in the computer system. The computer system is interactive. And what you do, for every action, there's a reaction. But that's recorded in computer code. So then you go back to my loop theory. Everything's a loop. Okay, time. Okay, forget about thinking about time as a flat plane or a river. Think of time as computer code. And think of that computer code as this large loop. And it's a huge loop. So, in theory, if an entity could travel anywhere in that loop, they could alter the computer code that's already been written in that loop. And within this theory, the alpha is the omega, the beginning is the end. In other words, time travel is possible within that computer program because time is computer code and it's in a loop. It's a very large loop. But if you can go far enough if you go into the past, not far enough in the past, any point in the past, and you create new computer code, you can change future computer code. You change the future. But in this theory, the past and the future, the alpha and omega, they're the same thing because it's a loop. So you travel to the future because the future may be the past from some other point in the loop. You change the future, you can change the past. You change the past, you can change the future. Because they're the same thing. Alpha and omega are the same thing. The beginning and the end are the same thing. It's a loop. So the theory is that if you could travel to different places in that loop, you could change time. You could actually change computer code. You could change the code that's already been written. And in fact, as we travel the loop, as our souls travel the loop, we do that. I mean, every loop, the code gets changed. That's a theory. I mean, the way we tend to judge time is through history. And so you look at it this way, civilizations rise and they fall. In that loop, civilizations rise and they fall. Disasters happen, great things happen, good times happen. Civilizations build up, they fall. Civilizations build up, they fall. Within that loop, you can look at time as a history of civilizations rising and falling. Some of those civilizations, because that loop is so massive, you may never even know about. I mean, they're outside the scope of the history at this point in the loop. I mean, within this point in the loop, you can see so far back, and you can guess, to the future. When I say you can guess to the future, you may know what you're going to have for breakfast the next morning. It don't mean you're going to necessarily know what the lottery number is going to be, but you can guess what you're going to have for breakfast the next day. Or if you're planning a vacation, you can kind of guess. If things go right, if things go well, you can guess what you're going to be doing on vacation. You can make a plan. You can have an itinerary. You can plan for the future. And now things may screw it up. It may not go all the way you plan, especially if you're bad luck Charlie like me. But you can look at the past, and that's history, and you can plan for the future. Even if you're not psychic, you can plan for the future. So within a narrow scope, you can see the past. You can kind of guess at the future. But now that loop is, like I said, it's massive. In that loop, civilizations have risen and fallen. That loop may even contain when there was life on Mars and then extinction on Mars. Then at some point, life returns to Mars. I mean, it could include other planets, not just Earth. The loop may expand to whichever planets that life may be feasible on in different dimensions. That gets all confusing and all that. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off the subject. The point is is we're back to thinking that the world we live in is a type of computer, and time is computer code, and that computer code can be changed. And when that computer code is changed, it can alter the past, it can alter the future. Okay, so what the theory is, to get back to my point, the theory is that CERN is rewriting computer code, that it has figured a way to basically jump the portals, jump into different parts in that massive loop, and actually alter reality, alter time, by altering that computer code that is the basis of our reality, that computer code that is the basis of our reality. The people at CERN are actually intentionally altering things in that computer code. It's it's interesting, I think. I'm not making a judgment on the theory. I'm just saying it's interesting. Interesting. I hope I've given you something to think about, regardless of what your belief is, what your theory is. I hope I've given you something to think about, and thanks for watching. Like me, subscribe, and even if you don't like me, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you a lot.